going to really keep an eye on Cephas. He had a great run on first down. He locks his hands on that football. It's like a vice grip.
And now it's the kick return team that comes up with a big one. Really solid football, reaching out for the touchdown.
Look at the blocking. Holy smoke. Nobody touches them.
Garbarino makes another man miss and dances into the end zone.
Strap in your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on.
Hello again, football fans, and welcome to Dakota High School, home of the Cougars. As they get set to take on the Eisenhower Eagles, a MAC Red championship on the line here tonight. Our Dakota Cougars coming into play with a perfect 6-0 record, 4-0 in MAC Red play. The Eisenhower Eagles 5-1, 3-1 in league play. Jeff, an opportunity for Dakota to win an outright title. Eisenhower looking to play the role of spoiler here tonight on homecoming. An opportunity to crawl into a tie for the top if they're able to come away with a victory here tonight.
Yeah, lots of distractions with it being homecoming. A lot of alumni back, a lot of the festivities, longer halftime, and the Cougars are going to need to be focused because this Eisenhower Eagles team, after the opening MAC Red loss to Chippewa Valley, is right there, and there is a possibility of a scenario tonight, Brad, where if the Eagles pull off the upset against the Cougars and the Big Reds win over on Romeo, there could be a three-way tie.
Yep.
For the MAC Red. As crazy as that sounds, that is a possible scenario.
Kasevic and Alfred deep for Dakota. Eisenhower did win the toss. They deferred to the second half.
Yeah, but as good as that defense has been, it's probably a better idea to put the offense out there first, as not many people want to play against that defense.
It's going to take a bounce, and it's going to roll into the end zone, so it'll be a touchback. Dakota will start out with the very first possession of the ball game from the 20-yard line.
Well, last week the Cougars took a little bit of time to get going. It was, I believe, 7-0 at the half with the Big Reds, and then they 2 weeks ago, I should say, and broke the game wide open. But this offense can do lots of different things. They're pretty versatile. They can ground and pound. They can go to the air. They have big receivers. They got the thunder and lightning punch with the running back position. Ethan Hamby's had a great year, and they run behind a massive offensive line.
Coming off a 21-14 win last week over Romeo, and that was a game that they kind of just survived in advance. Kasevic's going to explore the right-hand side. Minimal gain there on first down.
Yeah, nice pursuit there by the Eagles defense. They only got about 1.5 yards or so. Good job getting to the football, not giving those that running back much room. And that offensive line really didn't get much of a push. The defensive line really quite held them up very nicely. Short gain.
Romeo ended up fumbling deep in Dakota territory in the fourth quarter of that football game. Cougars turned the ball over twice in the second half. I'll go back to Kasevic once again, straight up the middle, driven back by the defensive line, keeps the legs churning, picks up a couple, and it'll bring up a third down and long.
Yeah, they had a kind of stalemate in the beginning there, and he got a little late push to get a few back, but it's going to be third and long for the Cougars right now as the interior of the Eisenhower defense is held strong here in the first two run plays.
So you mentioned that this is a very balanced offense for Dakota. In fact, it nearly is. 199 yards per game through the air, 196 on the ground. Kasevic to the left, a Hamby. Hamby looking deep, getting flushed out of the pocket. He's going to take off for it, and he gets bounced just short of the first down stakes. His forward momentum took him across, and it's good enough for a first down.
Yeah, that's that senior leadership at quarterback. Eisenhower's secondary had some great coverage actually there. Copart was covered. Everyone was covered. Hamby did a nice job of stepping up in the pocket there, and that linebacker crew was just a tad late reacting to that scramble, and Hamby gets the first down using his legs.
So needed 6, picked up 8. Send a man in motion. Hamby is going to look out to the numbers. Pass was a little low. Might have even been deflected. Was looking to hook up that time with DeAndre Lawrence Jr.
Yeah, that Eisenhower defensive line early on is getting some push. They're really coming after that Dakota offensive line, which is obviously one of the big strengths of this team. And the Eagles are attacking it. So we'll see what kind of adjustments they can make. Nothing's been up the middle for the Cougars. And, except for that scramble, Ike's defense has done a nice job of really covering everything up early.
Gonna go to Kasevic, met immediately. Terrific tackle by Cody Raymond.
Yeah, you know, this is something the Cougars aren't used to. There is not a lot of sledding going on right now in that interior part of the of that offensive line, and usually again they're used to getting that big push. And Eisenhower's defense has gone absolutely nowhere here. Now on a 3rd and 10, you see Ike pull out a defensive lineman and bring in an extra linebacker for coverage purposes. So they're more like a 3-4 or 3-3-5.
Kasevic averaging 132 yards on the ground, nearly 7 yards per carry. Hamby quickly gets it out. Met immediately once again by Cody Raymond. Nothing going there on the little screen pass.
Well, Cody Raymond has had a heck of a series here as he kind of single-handedly has forced the Cougars to punt. Nice job there on the bubble screen. Ike was not fooled at all. And the Cougars are going to have to punt after getting a first down on their opening drive. Ike's going to get the ball back, and then we'll see what the Eisenhower offense can do against that Dakota defense.
It'll be Owen Colpert to kick it away. Luke Myers deep. He's got his heels on his 36-yard line. Colpert gets a kick away. Coming up to catch it at the 45 is Luke Myers. They'll give him the 46 after he kind of rolled into it.
Yeah, dangerous catch, but he did a nice job of catching that ball. Not letting that ball scoop back, because we've seen the ball take some serious rolls on this turf. So Ike with some great field position to start here. We'll see how the Dakota defense attacks them.
Eisenhower last week beat Anchor Bay 22-19 in double overtime. They trailed 14-7, 14-13, and 16-13 in that football game. So they trailed throughout forced overtime, and then it became a field goal kicking contest. As Cardamone gets the first carry up across the 50 into Dakota territory. They'll mark him down at the Dakota 47.
Yeah, nice 7-yard gain on first down there. Actually going to mark it at 6. But yeah, Ike with a good play on first down where Dakota hadn't been able to get that kind of a run action against them. And Ike has come out with a great game plan here. The Cougars have to make some adjustments early.
This time they'll hand it off on a jet sweep. Bryce Hurley across the 40, across the 35, down to the 33-yard line. A pickup of 15. And Eisenhower in business.
Yeah, a little jet sweep action there. Some great perimeter blocking. Found a nice running lane and got a huge first down deep now into Dakota territory at the 34. Eisenhower on the move here, and they got the Cougars on their heels early.
This is an Eisenhower offense that averages 27 points per game. Junior signal caller Preston Crum, we've called that name quite a bit over the last 3 years as he was a varsity starter as a freshman.
Well, Jacob Leha making the tackle there, back after being out for some time after that second game of the season. He strained his knee a little bit. Good to see him back making a play there. A short little loss on the play, about a half of a yard. And well, the Cougars really need him back, especially if they're going to make a playoff run. He is one of those anchors of that defense. And now Eisenhower more in a passing situation here. We know how good Dustin Crum can be.
Christian Johnson, the lone setback. Crum looks deep, floats a pass across the middle. Oh boy, that was a dangerous looking pass as it sailed over the head of Connor Temple. He went up, got a couple paws on it, couldn't bring it down. 3 Dakota Cougars near that football. Unfortunately couldn't come away with it as it falls incomplete.
I got to correct myself. That was Preston Crum, not Dustin Crum. So, yeah, that ball was floating up there. Just everything was flowing to the football there. And luckily for Eisenhower, that ball fell incomplete. That could have really gone the other way. There was no one on that far side of the field.
And some movement up front.
Yeah, the end there across the neutral zone. That's going to give Ike a free 5 yards and make this a much more manageable third down. Instead of 3rd and 11, now you're looking at 3rd and 6. That's a huge gift to this Ike offense.
Eisenhower offense looks over at their home sidelines. Chris Smith, the head coach. Joe Youngblood, the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. The line to gain is the 24. It's a 3rd and 6, 7 minutes remaining, first quarter of play. Crum sends a man in motion. That's Luke O'Neill, a very talented threat from out of the backfield. Pass incomplete. Defended well.
Damari Malone. That's a beautiful pass deflection right there. That's about as textbook as you can play that right there without getting interference.
Eisenhower going to leave their offense on the field.
Yeah, with the wind, which is it's kind of blowing more to the east. Obviously, it's going to really hook the ball quite a bit tonight. You're probably much better off going for it there and trying to field goal.
Crum going to take off for it himself. He's going to get it, and he's going to slide.
It looks like with his near side rough, he's got it by a yard, but it was close.
Down to the 23-yard line.
I think he went into the slide there a little early, and luckily he was just past the marker because that was a lot closer than really what it was.
Needed 6, got 7.
6 3/4.
Don't forget, it is where you give yourself up. It isn't where you eventually land. So it's kind of the discretion of the official on that sideline as Johnson's going to explore the right-hand side. Gets it up to the 18-yard line, a pickup of 5. It'll bring up a 2nd down and 5.
And I'll tell you what, we haven't seen Dakota's defensive line get pushed back like this quite like so far Ike's offensive line has done. They've done a nice job, Eisenhower, on both sides of the ball up front, of really neutralizing the Cougar strength, which is their offensive defensive lines. That defensive line was shoved back 5 yards, thus getting that 5-yard gain on 1st down. That's just a gut play right up the middle, attacking really the teeth of the Cougars defense. And Eisenhower is coming out early, just throwing some haymakers.
This Cougar defense, one of the best in the state, just giving up 8 points per game. Crum's going to pass forward here on 2nd down. Look into the end zone. He's going to check down instead. He's got a man wide open. It's Luke O'Neill inside the 5, and they're going to signal touchdown.
Yeah, he saw the defense closing in, Brad, so he just decided, I'm going to take it, I'm going to dive for that pylon. He stretched the football, hit the pylon with the ball, and that's all you need to do is cross the plane. And Eisenhower's opening drive put 6 on the board early.
Just took 3 minutes and 5 seconds off the clock. They go 54 yards to pay dirt, the last 18 of it. The pitch and catch from Preston Crum to Luke O'Neill. And the extra point is good. Eisenhower leads it 7-0.
Well, Dakota's opening drive resulted in a 1st down, then a punt. And Eisenhower took it right down the field with a nice job of really mixing their offense up, calling some great plays, keeping the Cougars on their heels, and punching it in for 7. And early on, you know, that's really going to start to put some pressure on the Cougars early here. You know, what we said at the beginning of the broadcast, a win gives the Cougars the MAC red outright. A win by Eisenhower will tie them for 1st. And again, if Chippewa Valley wins at Romeo, which they're on Valley's tonight, they kick off a half hour later than this game did, you could end up with a 3-way tie. But if the Eagles win tonight, the one thing is for sure is there are co-champs at least in the MAC red.
One of the most improved teams in the state of Michigan is this Eisenhower team. Don't forget, they won 1 game last season. It was the worst season in school history. I know Eisenhower fans don't need to be reminded, but it was the fewest victories since 1974 when the team won 2 games. They went 2-7 back in 1974, and that was only the 4th year in existence, as they didn't start playing football really until 1971. They played 1 game back in 1970, and then really got things going in 1971.
Well, and I'm sure the players and the coaching staff kind of use that as a chip on their shoulder coming into this season. You know, when you come off a season like that, and of course they were, you know, we even mentioned it last year several times in the broadcast, just riddled with injuries. I mean, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And here they are now, a year later, with a chance to share the MAC Red Championship. Would be maybe, if not the greatest turnaround in the history of this division. So I cannot recall a team going from last
worst
to
first,
like where they were at 1-8.
Well, it's so difficult to do in this loaded MAC red. We'll get to some of those topics of conversation as this game progresses in terms of perhaps where each of these teams could finish in terms of the playoff seedings as Hamby takes off, scampers for 3 yards.
Yeah, I'm telling you know, you're used to seeing the Cougars get open. There is no open receivers there as the Eisenhower secondary is just shutting everything down right now. And the best play right now for the Cougars in their first 2 drives have been an Ethan Hamby scramble. Except for that, they haven't been able to do anything.
And their biggest offensive play of the game was an 8-yard run
by Ethan Hamby.
Yep, Hamby's connected on 65% of his passes this season. Has over 1,000 yards on the season's averaging 187 yards per game, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And off. It's going to get up to the 28-yard line.
Yeah, it looks like he got about 3 more on the play. But that's Kasevic's best run today. Again, that Eisenhower front 7 has been outstanding, neutralizing that offensive line. And you know, usually you're used to seeing Kasevic break up a bunch of runs. There is nowhere for him to run right now, and he is getting hit by several defenders. You know, these guys have come out with a very good game plan here and are executing it very, very well.
That last handoff actually went to Kelvin Watson, who's kind of like their short down and distance back, as they have Kasevic and Watson both in this football game right now in the backfield. A little bit of confusion getting this play call in. Kasevic split off now at the very top of the formation at the wide receiver position. They got Watson in the backfield, and now here comes a flag, and they're going to have a Dakota timeout before the flag. We're going to have a delay of game, but Cougars get the timeout off before they could get penalized. So a little bit of a sloppy start here so far for Dakota.
Yeah, the Cougars right now a little lethargic, and Eisenhower is coming to play, and you know, Dakota's really going to have to try to figure this out, because it just seems like right now every yard they get is just a lot of work, and that first drive by the Eagles just looked really, really easy, which, again, you are not used to seeing anything look easy against this Dakota Cougar defense. So hats off to the Eagles. They have come in with a great game plan. They have executed, and they got this crowd extremely quiet, which is what you want to do, and they got this team in blue extremely concerned.
And we mentioned Dakota just giving up 8 points per game. They gave up 7 to Brother Rice. They shut out Utica. They gave up 7 to Anchor Bay. They gave up 3 to Stevenson. They gave up 17 to Chippewa Valley, which was the most points they've given up all season. And then, of course, 14 last week to Romeo. So this is a defense that is stout. Hamby's looking to pass forward here on 3rd and short. And he's got Quest Williams across the 40, up across the 44. Big play there, picks up 16.
Yeah, they ran the weapons down the field, and Quest just kind of ran a little angle route. He was open across the middle of the field. Hamby did a nice job of letting the route open up and the play develop and put the ball right on the money to the big fellow who rumbles for a first down. Nice play call there by the Cougars, as trying to find a way to kind of get this Eisenhower defense on their heels as opposed to coming downhill like they've been.
Watson up to the 49, picks up 5.
Yeah, going a little bigger running back here to get 5 yards there, 6 yards. So, you know, maybe Dakota here is starting to try to find something as the, you know, as early on it's been tough sledding. I think they might have tried to find something here in this Eisenhower defense, but right now it's the Eagles who are on top 7-0, and the Cougars playing catch-up.
Lawrence and Colpert, the wide receivers to the right of Hamby. Caleb Pritchard at the very bottom of the formation. Pistol formation for Hamby. Fakes the handoff to Kasevic. All kinds of pressure, and the Eagles get home. Moseri, the first Eisenhower player in, will give him credit for the sack.
Yeah, nice job there as Hamby had to step up in the pocket because the two ends were really coming in hard. And as soon as he stepped up, he stepped right into number 33, who buries him for a loss. And now instead of a nice 3rd and 4, you're looking at 3rd and long here, and that's going to play right into the Eagles' defense because now they can bring in that extra defender and rush 3.
3 wide receiver set, 3rd down and 10. 2:05 left to go, first quarter of play. Hamby barks out the signal, now looks over at his offense of sidelines. His coordinator's down there, give him the play call. He looks to his right, scans the defense, flings one out there. Colpert, Johnny on the spot inside Eisenhower territory to the 45. When you need a big play, you call on number 1.
I think they called that an incomplete pass. I think he dropped it because the Cougars are punting.
Wow, they are going to bring the football back, so Colpert couldn't haul it in.
Yeah, it looked like he had it, but the Eagle defender did a nice job of coming in and stripping it. Eisenhower sideline is fired up, and they get the Cougars to punt again here. And going to get pretty decent field position here. Well, Brad, we are almost a quarter into this game, and the Cougars have yet to cross the 50.
Eisenhower nearly came away with the block. That ball will check up at the 30 and take a little bit of a Cougar roll down to the 28-yard line. So 2 offensive possessions for Dakota, 2 punts. Eisenhower will go back to work, leading 7-0. A minute 30 now left to go in the first quarter of play.
Yeah, and this, this crowd on homecoming, edge to edge, completely filled. A lot of alumni back, a lot of festivities going on beforehand. In this crowd, you can hear a pin drop right now. And the Eagles take over, 7-0, minute 30 to go. The Cougar offense has struggled, and the Cougar defense here is going to need to come up with something here to get this crowd fired up, because right now it is quiet as a mouse in the stadium.
I got here at 5:55. I made a point of looking down at my phone to see what time it was, and there's a fumble, and the Cougars got it. The Cougar defense comes up big.
Well, that's what we just talked about. Cougar defense need to make a play. Nice hit and wrap on the ball. Ball comes loose, and what a break for Dakota now, as they're going to get a gift at the Eagle 31-yard line.
It's the very first play of the possession. The ball pops out just like that. The Cougars, with an opportunity, will take over on the Eisenhower 31. So to kind of complete my story, 5:55 walking into the stadium over the PA. They were playing We Are the Champions by Queen. A little premature, perhaps? I know you got the share at least.
Yeah, and I mean, you got the Eagles in the visiting locker room here and that. I'm sure that fired them up a little bit.
Hamby's going to fling one to the outside, incomplete. Caleb Pritchard, the intended wide receiver. But I got a little bit of a chuckle out of that. I thought, well, I don't know, boys. I don't know if that's the greatest thing to be playing right now.
No,
you don't need any sort of extra motivation on that far sideline.
Maybe they should have went with Radio Gaga or something like that. Stay away from that Queen song till the end of the night, possibly. That's a little premature there.
Maybe they wanted to make sure they had it on the playlist and make sure it worked for the post-game festivities. Kasevic going to go straight up the middle. All kinds of room, all kinds of green. Up to the 23-yard line.
And those are the runs you're used to seeing, and that they just haven't been there so far tonight. As that defense here is, you're asking a lot of them. Turnover on the 31 here, but 3rd and 3, they're hanging in there.
Cougars get up to the line quickly.
First down.
Luke Neal, the touchdown scorer, with the tackle. Needed 2, got 2. So in fact, it will be a first down. Move the chains.
And the one thing we've seen with this Dakota offense, even if they start off slow, they don't panic. 2 weeks ago here against the Big Reds, they were down 7-0 at the half, no points, just nothing going. And the next thing you know, there's 28 on the board.
Yep, that was very methodical.
Yeah, they can score in a hurry, but they don't panic. And that's something that the Eagle defense is going to have to continue with their game plan, because so far their game plan has been very good. There's 4 or 5 guys in that ball carrier right there.
Flipped one out to Kasevic. Lost one there.
There's just been, not a lot of easy sledding for the Cougars so far early on this game, as we're under 20 seconds here to go in the first quarter. This Eisenhower defense has played a great opening quarter of football.
Hamby's got 3 wide receivers to his left. That's the way he's going to look. Owen Colpert catches it at the 20. Makes the first man miss. Jukes at the 15 up to the 11-yard line. A pickup of 10. And it's going to be just short of the first down marker, and that will do it for our first quarter of play. The Eisenhower Eagles have come in on the road and have spoiled the festivities here on homecoming so far. They lead it 7-0. We'll take a quick break here on Chippewa Valley Cable, but when we come back, start of the second quarter of play.
Last year, 13% of teens surveyed in the U.S. reported that they abuse prescription medication. Many teens get medication to abuse from the medicine cabinet in their home or that of a relative. Help protect your children and grandchildren. Tell them taking prescription medication without a doctor's supervision is dangerous and can lead to death. Tell them marijuana and alcohol use can lead to prescription drug abuse. Lock up all medications. Prescription medication, abuse and addiction, never say, not my kid.
Welcome back to Dakota High School. Cougars on the drive, trailing 7-0. Hamby with a little bit of a ball fake, keeps it himself, picks up the first down. 5 yards on the quarterback keep. Down to the 6-yard line.
Yeah, nice job of mixing it up there, just getting that first down and moving the chains. You know, that's something they really needed to do. Nice play call there. And the Cougars now, first and goal, touchdown here could really get this crowd going. They really need to get this crowd into this ball game.
Kelvin Watson, the lone setback. They hand off to Watson. He's up near the goal line and in. Touchdown Cougars. Kelvin Watson from 7 yards out has pulled Dakota within 1.
And this might have to be the plan tonight, is kind of go with the bigger running back. You know, no disrespect to Joe Kasevic. He is the kind of the bread and butter of this offense when it comes to the ground game. But a little bigger running back, kind of ground and pound these guys a little bit, wear them out. The Cougars cash in on the Eisenhower turnover and the extra point to try to tie this game.
Celestini, the left-footed kicker, rips it through the uprights. And with 11:34 now remaining in the first half of play, we are knotted up at 7 apiece.
Yeah, nice job there by the offense. Defense creating a big turnover. Offense cashing in 7-7. And that's maybe what the Cougars need to kind of get going here a little bit, as again, they kind of got off to a slow, methodical start offensively. And, you know, if you're Eisenhower right now, you really want to move the ball down this field a little bit and at least try to flip the field position. Because right now, this crowd has woken up a little bit. And really, you know, the first quarter couldn't have gone better, and you don't want this thing to get away from you.
Took a minute 50 off the clock, just needed 7 plays to go the 31 yards after the Eisenhower fumble. So Eisenhower perhaps was going to have to play a perfect game here tonight, had to cut down on turnovers, weren't going to be able to do that here tonight with this Dakota defense, and the Cougars come away with that turnover and cash it in points.
Yeah, you know, that's what you need too when your defense gives you a gift like that. You know, settling for a field goal or even coming away with nothing would have been devastating. A touchdown there kind of puts this game back at 0-0, and now, you know, gives the team a little bit of a jolt that I desperately needed in that first quarter. Just seemed to be, you know, again, maybe that we are the champions fired up the Eagle team before the game, but the Cougars now kind of draw back even, and now we'll kind of see how the rest of the first half plays out, Brad.
Celestini's kick goes down to the 7, shoestring tackle made just short of the 25. They will, in fact, give him the 25-yard line.
Yeah, Austin Tchaikovsky, nice open field tackle there. Because if he doesn't make that tackle, there's a lot of real estate. A lot of real estate in front.
Eagles will start 1st and 10.
Eisenhower back to work now. Preston Crum, low snap, brings it up. He's going to take off for it. First Cougar in, Stachowski.
Anthony Coleman was also there.
4-yard gain. And that's a little bit of what Crum can do. He's versatile in the fact that he can run.
Bring up 2nd and 6.
3 wide receivers set, 2 to Crum's left. It's going to be a straight handoff this time. Christian Johnson dives ahead. It's going to be short of the first down marker, so it'll bring up a 3rd and short. We'll call it 3rd and 3.
They'll bring about 3rd and about 3 to go.
Yeah, big down here for the Cougars. Again, usually this defense on most third downs are tough to score on, but I really like the way the Eagles are calling their game right now. They got the Cougars kind of on their heels.
Luke and Neal in the slot providing the block. And the pass is lofted to the outside, and Bullock couldn't bring it in.
What a beautiful throw by Crum on the run to his left, and he heaved that a good 35 yards. And it looked like it was quite a bit. It hung up just enough in millimeters in front of the fingertips of the receiver. And the Cougar defense comes up big and gonna get the ball back here. And you gotta be careful too. This is kind of an area of the field, usually the 30 to the 30, where you see teams that punt like to go for that fake.
Well, you got only a short distance to pick up. You only have 3 yards to gain. Alfred and Colpert deep. Snap is good. The kick is away. It's an end-over-end kick that's going to bounce at the 45 and roll inside the 40 down to the 38-yard line.
Yeah, kind of had a shank a little bit on it, but they got a nice roll. But the Cougars are still going to benefit from it. Some really nice field position at the 38-yard line. So we'll see what the offense can do here. You know, they cashed in that short field of 31 yards. They got to go a little further this time, 62 yards to pay dirt. But we'll see kind of if the offense kind of found something in that last series and see if they stay with it. Kasevic out at the running back.
And this is a Dakota offense that really didn't get much going last week against Romeo. They had a 51-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown by Tyler Harper, a 1-yard touchdown run by Watson, and Kasevic also had a touchdown run of just 3 yards. Amby was 12 of 19 for 206 and an interception and no touchdowns. Colpert up to the 44, 6-yard gain on first down.
Yeah, he's so tough to stop just because he's so big at 6'4", 215. You know, even those bubble screens, he falls forward, and gets 3 yards. So just a big, strong guy. It's very tough to get down with one guy, and usually you're covering with a DB. Those guys are much smaller, so he's got the size advantage on anybody that covers him.
Well, how about that game he had against Chippewa Valley? 9 catches for 155 yards, averaged over 17 yards per catch. Kasevic runs right into that strong defensive line. He's just going to get it back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, there is nowhere for Joe to go. These guys have really kind of angled in on him, and you know, being the smaller of the 2 running backs, just hasn't had much sledding to go there tonight. They are really clogging up that tackle-to-tackle box of the Cougars, and Kasevic has yet to bounce one. But again, like we said earlier, you know, this Cougar offense is pretty patient.
Trips to Hamby's left. He's going to look right instead, and he's going to find a safety valve in Owen Colpert into Eagle territory.
Yeah, you could almost nickname Owen Colpart the Whoopie. I mean, you get that security blanket when you're a kid, and when Ethan Hamby and the Cougar offense needs it, just play basketball. And they actually had him double covered. He just threw it high so Colpart could go up and get it, you know, get the first down and go. And he looked at nobody else in that play, and there were still 3 guys on him, and Colpart came away with the first down.
12 yards on that reception for Colpert. This time they're going to go to Kasevic, right-hand side. Gets the key block that he needed.
Yeah, he got some nice perimeter blocking there, and I'm sure that run felt really good for Joe. He turned it up really nice, and they get right to the sticks there, about a yard or so short, but nice gain on first down, and that really gives the Cougars a lot of options here on the second one.
Raymond made the tackle for Eisenhower. Kind of get the sense that Kasevic's starting to feel himself just a little bit here on this 4th offensive drive for Dakota. 8 minutes remaining first half. Do you take a shot deep downfield? I know teams like to do that on 2nd down and short. We're going to get a timeout called now by Eisenhower. So perhaps they saw something that we were perhaps hinting at there. The fact that teams do like to take shots downfield on 2nd down and short because you know you got 2 downs to work with to pick up 1 yard.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely the down to do that at, and they might have been in the wrong defense for that situation. So it's better to make sure you guys are in the right spot and just kind of make sure everyone is aware. And again, we know the weapons the Cougars have at receiver. I mean, they are very tough to guard. You could almost just play, it's like playing the old backyard 500 game, you know, just chuck it up there and let them go get it because they are so big. They definitely make it tough to cover.
Dakota ranked number 3 in the state of Michigan by MHSAA, just behind Belleville and Caledonia. Took care of business 2 weeks ago against their rivals from Chippewa Valley. Survived and advanced last week against the Romeo Bulldogs. An opportunity to clinch the outright MAC Red title. It would be the first outright MAC Red title for Dakota since 2015. 7 seasons ago was Dakota's last outright MAC Red title. They shared the 2020 MAC Red championship with Stevenson. They both went 4-1 that year. So second down is short at Kasevic. Big run up to the 22, 12-yard gain by the tailback.
And I'll tell you this, I mean, the last thing you want right now, if you're the Eagles, is to get the Joe Kasevic train running here. They did a nice job of shutting him down, but he's gotten his last 2 touches. He's gained some nice yards on first and second down here. He's got the Cougars in business now at the 23.
This time it's Watson. All kinds of Eagles come in there to make the tackle. 5-yard gain on first down.
Yeah, nice job of shifting the running backs, keeping both guys fresh. Kind of a little thunder and lightning punch the Dakota Cougars can give. And you know, in the first quarter, it was the Eagles kind of had the Cougars on their heels. Now it's kind of the roles have switched a little bit here in the second.
Watson again. Close to another Cougar first down. All depends on the spot.
First down.
And they will, in fact, give him the first down.
Yeah, this Dakota offense is starting to pick up some steam here, and I don't know whether Ike's going to try to come with a blitz. They're going to need to mix it up a little bit here. They got to kind of get Dakota back on their heels because right now this offense is really starting to pick up steam.
Hamby takes the shotgun snap, gives it to Kasevic. All kinds of speed, plows over the first defender, gets it down to the 5-yard line. Good, solid, hard run by Kasevic.
Yeah, and that's 3 good runs in a row here. Joe is starting to kind of find his groove a little bit. The Cougars really finding something there in that right side perimeter, and they are attacking it right now as the Eagles are kind of on their heels.
So offensive line getting after it as well. Hamby's going to keep it himself, gets knocked just short of the goal line and across. Ethan Hamby on the quarterback keeper, 5 yards out. Touchdown, Cougars.
Yeah, nice little replay there. You know, and that's obviously, you know, the benefit of the last 3 runs of Joe Kasevic really gashed him with that offensive line. Hamby pulls it, and that big long body diving in the end zone, and the Cougars, now after trailing 7-0 here, put up 2 touchdowns on the board and have a little something going here.
Celestini in to add on the extra point. The kick is up. The kick is good. Cougars 14, Eagles 7. 5:58 left to go, first half of play.
Well, you know, in the first quarter, it was the Dakota offense that had to respond. Now the ball shifts to the Eagle offense. The Eagle offense have to get something going. You kind of wonder on that last drive, and that ball millimeters from being a huge completion, maybe even a touchdown. And we'll see if Eisenhower tries to come back to something like that, maybe take some shots downfield. Haven't really done much of that tonight, and usually that's kind of their MO.
So Eisenhower has the 9-play touchdown drive on their very first offensive possession. Since then, they've had 4 offensive plays. A fumble on the very first play of the second drive, and then a 3-and-out. Need some sustained offense here if they hope to remain in this football game. It's kind of early, but you almost get the sense that this is gut check time already for Eisenhower.
Yeah, you know, that 9-play drive in the beginning really kept their Dakota defense on the field and kind of wearing them out a little bit. And since then, you know, the Dakota offense has kind of been able to freshen up a little bit, only having 4 plays. So, well, the Cougar offense is really starting to kind of get it going there.
Celestini to kick things away. Puts the left foot into it. Fielded by Brandon Kedro. Kedro to the right-hand side. Needs one block. He's going to get it up to the 30, and now a late flag comes out.
Yeah, you might have a hold here. Well, the flag was, there was actually a hold earlier on in the middle of the field, but there's going to be a hold on the Eagles here, and that's going to put them way back.
And that, in fact, will be the call. Holding on the kick return. 10 yards from the spot of the infraction. So this will be terrible starting field position now for Ike. So back it all the way up to the 11-yard line.
You know, I'm kind of surprised how quiet still the crowd is, Brad. You know, Dakota's fought back to go up 14-7. With everything that's on the line here, you figure this place be rocking, and it really isn't. It's kind of a weird feeling. I don't know if it's the cold, if everyone's tired from the homecoming parade or whatever it is, but just right now, there's just not as much energy in this place as you thought there would be as Dakota's taking the lead here. So,
stands are packed, both sides. Eisenhower did a fabulous job of showing up tonight.
And they always have traveled well throughout the years.
Crum gets it out quickly, and Neal met by a defensive back in the form of Jalen Whitaker.
Yeah, nice open field tackle there. And that's just basically just a short little hitch route just to kind of get something going right now. You know, get a completion, kind of get the sticks moving a little bit. You know, 5.5 minutes is plenty of time for this team to move down the field. But you definitely going to have to take some shots down the field a little bit here against this defense to loosen them up.
4 wide receivers set. 2 to the right, 2 to the left for Crum. Crum will hand off on the delayed draw call. Lots of room, lots of green. Tackle eventually made by Kelvin Watson. But terrific run by Christian Johnson.
And the Eagles has had success running the football tonight on this Dakota Cougar defensive line, which is, like we said, the strength of their team. So, you know, they've done a nice job of keeping them off balance.
12-yard gain for Christian Johnson. 5:50 left to go, second quarter of play. Crum. Hands off once again.
That defensive line just so good, so tough to push. But like I said, I've really been impressed with the play calling of the Eisenhower Eagles tonight. Is they really mixed up not only just to run the pass, but inside, outside, kind of counter them a little bit. Just kind of trying to do everything you can to keep this defense on its heels and just honest. Because once you let them play downhill consistently, it's not going to go well for you. As you can see, you know, talking about coming in averaging 8 points a game. That's crazy with the schedule they play.
Dakota shows a little bit of a blitz. Tuchowski, Hamby kind of pumped it and sent it through the hands of his intended wide receiver, Bryce Hurley.
Yeah, Preston wanted to get that ball there a lot quicker than the receiver was ready for it, so he had to pump it and just right off the hands. And you know, those are plays you got to make when you're trying to tie this game back up, because now you put yourself in a 3rd and long, and you know, usually that's where you see Coach Bauer dial a blitz up here, or some kind of a pressure. If you notice, though, both teams tonight mostly going to 3 down linemen in these situations to get an extra guy in coverage. Here comes a blitz.
Luke Neal comes in to provide a little bit of extra protection in the backfield. Good throw right on the money up to the 40-yard line.
Yeah, nice job there. Anthony Coleman was providing some pressure. Preston rolled out. Receiver there on a nice comeback to the sideline. He hit him right in the chest. Good job of going down to his knees to catch that ball, secure it for a first down. Eisenhower moves the chains because Dakota brought the pressure.
Hurley hauls it in for 10. Crum rolling out to his right. Really well thrown ball right on the money. Crum takes the snap, turns, hands off. Back to the line of scrimmage, nothing more.
No, and usually that is the result of trying to run this defense. They are very difficult to run on. You got Harper in the middle. You got those 3 big defensive linemen, and they rotate a couple other guys in. I mean, this is a tough team to run against. And you know, to Ike's credit, I mean, they've looked good at times tonight. They just, you know, the consistency hasn't been there. Now we got to stop at your play, official timeout for something. Maybe something on the clock. Gonna maybe add some time. Okay, here we go. There's no time added on, but we're gonna go. So something's corrected and good to go.
Christian Johnson, the lone tailback. Neal comes in again to provide that extra protection. Ooh, another dangerous pass. Intended for Connor Temple.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Rolling to his right, throwing back across his body there, and got a big receiver in the middle there, but ooh, boy. That's dangerously close to being picked off, and could have been devastating there for the Eagles.
And we know this is a ball-hawking defense for Dakota. 7 fumble recoveries now in the season to go along with 6 interceptions. So that's 13 turnovers in 7 games, so nearly 2 turnovers forced per game for this Dakota defense.
Yeah, you know, this offense is not a lighted up down the field football team. They're a methodical, you know, kind of, you know, pounded out football team. So that those defenses, when they give them gifts, you know, that helps, and that's what that defense does, is give them opportunities.
Look out, Crum's gonna run for it. He slides down, and he's gonna be close to the first down marker once again. Good heads up play by Crum, but I think, well, let's see what that side judge on that far side of the field. They're going to mark him just short. No, they're going to move the chains. Wow.
And he wanted 15 extra on that. I don't think so. I mean, it was just, he really slid at the last minute, and both players on the defense had committed to the tackle. And you know, people say, oh, I just got to pull up. It is so hard to do that. It's not that easy to do, especially when you're moving full speed, especially at the size of all these kids nowadays and how quick they move. It is not easy to pull up.
Yep, we know how hard it is to stop a speeding car by slamming on the brakes, and that's essentially what you're asking these defensive players to do. As Crum takes off, and this time he's going to hand off to Johnson. Nothing going, lost a yard.
Tchaikovsky, first guy in.
Christian Johnson on the carry.
So it will be a 1-yard loss. Yeah, you mentioned last 2 football games, Eisenhower scored 22 points and 15 points, so they're not exactly getting it done offensively. They're averaging just under 20 points per game in MAC red play, and a little bit of a statistical anomaly. They're 3-1 in MAC red play, Jeff. They've been outscored this season in MAC red play.
Yeah, the Chippewa game was a little lopsided, but the other games, they just found a way to win close games, and they just get it done. And again, you don't get extra points or extra wins for style points. They're just getting it done in the name of the game, which is win. So that's what the Eagles have done.
Broken up by number 7, Calvin Watson.
Calvin Watson in coverage. Jack Bullock, the intended wide receiver there.
As this drive has developed, Brad, you are starting to see the Eagles, you know, which they didn't do early on. They were very patient, but now they're starting to take some more down the field shots, and they're getting themselves in a little bit more 3rd and long situations here. But they are starting to kind of get the ball down the field more, which is, you know, especially with Joe Youngblood, when back in his day, they were a very big time, you know, good mix of the run, but a vertical passing game, and that's kind of what I'm sure they want to get back to.
Johnson and the Neal in the backfield. Crum rolls out to his right. Surveys, runs out of time, brought down. Tyler Harper, no surprise, leads the team in sacks at 6.5 now on the season.
Yeah, he came free, and Preston's waiting for his guy to get open, and it took forever, and boy, he just came in. Tyler came in with a free shot there to the back, and that's what you kind of dream about as a linebacker, and he buried him for a loss, and the Eagles are now going to have to punt. The Cougars called timeout here, the chance maybe to try to stretch this lead to 21-7 here at the half.
Yeah, I'm going to try to conserve as much time as possible. The clock will stop with 1:51 left to go in the first half of play.
We got the little phone monitor here in the booth here too, Brad. So we'll keep an eye on the crosstown rival with Chippewa and Romeo tonight, because that could impact this game as well, as the Big Reds and the Bulldogs have just started to get going. And looks like right now the Big Reds are on the move inside Romeo territory. I don't think they're in the red zone, but they're moving the football here. And here, with 1:51 to go, the Cougars are going to get the ball back. Maybe trying to make something happen here right before the half and give this crowd a little something to celebrate during the 27-minute halftime.
You gotta love technology, huh? We got the dual screens going. We got the game in front of us. We got the Chippewa Valley Romeo game on the monitor.
I remember the black and white monitors we used to hit to be able to see the replay.
And there's a snap. The kick is away. It's a low-line driving kick. Colpert's going to field it at the 37 and gets brought down immediately.
He kind of outkicked his coverage there, but the coverage team did a great job of getting down the field. Owen had nowhere to go. And, minute 43, that's not a ton of time to get down the field 63 yards where the Cougars got to go. So we'll see here. I'm sure Ike's going to try to play a little bit more of a three-man front with 8 guys in coverage and make the Cougars just try to burn the clock out. They only have 1 timeout left, where the Eagles have 3. I don't think you're going to see a music here. If you're Ike, you want to go into the half down 14-7, not 21-7.
A little bit of a spread look now for Ethan Hamby. He's going to get involved in the run game, and he's going to slide down up to the 42-yard line, pick up a 5.
I will say this, the officials have been very consistent. There's been a few slides tonight where it looked like it go 15 yards. They've been very consistent keeping the flags in the pockets on it. So
3 wide receivers to Hamby's left. Hamby looks across the middle, now goes to his right-hand side. Colpert into Eisenhower territory down to the 46-yard line.
And that stops the clock at 1:13. The Cougars cross the 50. They're in business. Again, when you need it, who do you go to?
Ethan Hamby.
Who are you going to call? Owen Colpart. Might as well change his name to Ghostbusters.
Ethan Hamby to Colpert.
There he goes again.
Colpert once again.
You can't cover him. I mean, he started the season. He got that. He's kind of quiet in the Brother Rice game, and then he made that Randy Moss-like catch over the Brother Rice defender to ice the game. And from that point on, they have just used him, and he is just such a tough cover at 6'4", 215. There are no high school corners at 6'4", 215, and it's just such an advantage to have him there. And just nobody seems to really put a muzzle on him and stop him, because he's just so big and strong.
Came into tonight's game with 24 receptions for 413 yards, and there's a huge, huge sack.
Down in the backfield by number 36.
Devin Steele.
And lived up to his name there. He came flying in, and the Cougars, why you're not calling timeout? Because they only got 1 left. They can't burn it right now, so they got to hurry back. That's what the last thing you wanted right now was a sack. Probably gonna see a bubble screen here.
3rd and 10 now. Hamby, straight drop, feels the pressures, flushed out, gonna float one over to the sidelines, and it's Colpert again. Tayshawn Terrell just throws his hands up in frustration. He thought he had Colpert defended well.
No, it goes to a 1st down as well. I mean, you want to talk about Randy Moss Jr. here. I mean, this catch is absolutely insane. How he's able to keep his feet in bounds.
And now they're going to bring it back.
I don't know how you overturn it. I mean, you don't have the benefit of a replay. But now you don't know where the ball was.
Well, I can tell you it was at the 46. It was at the 46.
They put it at the 41.
No, it was at the 46.
The chains are actually right, but the ball's not. No, so the referee, here comes the star judge coming in, so he's trying to talk to him right now. Coach Smith on the far side he knows where the ball is supposed to go. I can tell you that much.
Yeah,
right now.
He's pointing down at the 46. He knows.
He's standing right on it.
And now they're gonna actually move the ball back too far. Nope, it's not where it belongs either. It belongs at the 46-yard line.
Well, Coach Smith's not going to argue that one. He'll take a few extra yards, that's for sure. Supposed to be on the 46.
And it should be 4th down.
Right. Boy,
what
oh
a
boy.
mess. Boy, oh boy. How do we not know where the ball's supposed to be?
Well, they called the first down. The Crews moved the chains, and now you got to come back. And so Dakota on an incomplete pass loses 3 yards. 4th down, they got a punt.
It was 4th and it was it was 3rd and 10 from the 46. Boy, oh boy.
Wow. Well,
And now Eisenhower is going to call timeout.
yeah, maybe the possibility of just being, they have 3 timeouts here, so use one of them. Just kind of be careful of a fake. Yeah, what a strange turn of events that was. As we're trying to sort this out and figure it out. And,
Well, we can officially say we've seen it all now. 8-yard loss on the sack brought the football back to the 46. Then what we thought was a completed pass to Colpert was ruled incomplete, and then they moved the football back to the 49 and call it 4th and 8 rather than 4th and 10. And boy, oh boy, what a mess.
Big Reds are on the board at Romeo, 3-0 in the first quarter here.
Ahmed Basic, huh?
Yeah, and they had a late start with the TV kind of taking over. 40-minute delay in the start of the game. I'm sure Coach Merchant loved that. Here we are 31 seconds away from halftime, and probably the halftime will kind of help the other crosstown game with the late start to catch up. The long halftime. So
Bryce Hurley, Brandon Kedrow back. I wouldn't say they're deep for Eisenhower. No. The ball's going to sail over their heads.
They were not back to receive that punt. They were like, oh.
And it's going to roll inside the 10 down to the 8.
Nice punt there. I'm sure Coach Smith's just going to take a knee here and go to halftime 14-7. You don't want to do anything silly where all of a sudden, you get a turnover, a fumble. 14-7 at the half. The Eagles are in the game. The second quarter belonged to the Cougars. The first one belonged to the Eagles. Halftime adjustments coming in the long halftime, and we'll see how the second half plays out. But be ready here that you're in for a football game here, ladies and gentlemen.
And Eisenhower will, in fact, take a knee and head into the halftime break, trailing by a touchdown. Cougars fell behind early. Eisenhower strike first. 18-yard touchdown catch by Luke Neal gave them the early 7-0 lead, but the Cougars stormed back, scored the last 14 points, and will take a 14-7 lead into halftime here on Homecoming. Jeff, your thoughts on the first half of play?
Yeah, I mean, first quarter, all Eagles. Second quarter, the Cougars, not only strike back and draw even, but take the lead. And, now the chess game comes into play, and we'll kind of see how the halftime plays out. But kind of a strange end of the half with the 4-yard loss on an incomplete pass. Like I said, expect the unexpected when you see Mac Red play, and, it tends to kind of prove true. So
we'll take a quick break here on Chippewa Valley Cable, but when we come back, the second half of play.
These are some facts about youth alcohol use. While the good news is that underage drinking has declined over the years, rates of youth alcohol use are still high. 30% of 12th graders in the United States reported drinking in the past month. Alcohol use by teens frequently involves binge drinking. Regular alcohol use can damage the developing teen brain, creating problems with learning, memory, and processing information. Youth alcohol use is associated with other negative consequences, including poor school performance, injury and death from car crashes, suicide, mental health issues, and use of other drugs. The majority of those diagnosed with an alcohol use disorder in adulthood began drinking by the age of 18.
Let's have a big hand for the Cougar dance team here to entertain us tonight. Shut Texas Cougar dance team. Great job, ladies. All right, let's have a big hand for the varsity cheer team here to entertain us tonight. Let's give a big hand. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Dakota Cougar Marching Band under the direction of Justin McCowitz and Kurt Riss, led by drum majors Audrey Schneider and Maeve McSherry.
Unbeknownst to the ground, evil is lurking near our front door, ready to pounce. But sometimes in life, things aren't always what they seem. Sometimes we doubt the trustworthy, and we trust those we should doubt. It was her worst enemy. A hungry, vicious group. The one who wanted to harm her. sometimes that's okay.
Good evening. It's now time to present you our 2022 homecoming court. If you could please direct your attention to the 30-yard line. Our first nominees of the night are Dylan Tursky and Faith Maloney. Now we introduce Zachary Veal and Claire Kraft. Brady Miller and Lindsay Mundell. Owen Clancy and Lauren Shaft. Luke Pacone and Brooklyn Pwitz. Owen Mitchell and Sarah Capocha. Josh Sosnowski and Rachel White. Ethan Hamby and Jada Rivera. Joe Kasevic and Nina Candela. Tyler Harper and Ainsley Perjusko. The 20 candidates presented to you were chosen as representatives by the senior class. The candidates were then voted upon by the student body to determine this year's winners. We would like to thank all of you for your participation. Our king and queen will be crowned by Caden Sloan and Morgan Lowers, our 2021 homecoming king and queen. We are happy to present the 2022 homecoming king, Zachary Veal. And now, your 2022 homecoming queen, Jada Rivera. Congratulations, Zachary and Jada. Thank you so much to our entire court and to all the fans here tonight. Student government hopes everyone is enjoying the homecoming week of 2022. Thank you for your support and enjoy the rest of the football game.
This is a message to raise awareness of the dangers of youth use of alcohol and other drugs. These are some facts about youth prescription opioid medication misuse from the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Teen abuse of prescription opioid medications has declined steadily over past years. However, young adults 18 to 24 are the largest group abusing prescription medication, including opioids, medications prescribed for ADHD, and anti-anxiety medication. Those that abuse prescription opioids are at greater risk of becoming addicted, of negative life and health consequences, of overdose, and death. Prescription opioids are chemically related to heroin. Nearly 80% of people addicted to heroin started first by abusing opioid medications. Teens that misuse prescription medication get it from their friends, from unsecured medication at their home, or from the home of a relative. Lock up, properly dispose, and never share medication. For more information on the abuse of opioid medication, visit drugabuse.gov.
Welcome back to Dakota High School, nearly set for the second half of play. Homecoming here. Cougars in front of the Eisenhower Eagles 14-7. Brad Fetters alongside Jeff Vitale for Chippewa Valley Cable Television. And Jeff, Eisenhower got it going, scoring a touchdown on their opening drive of this football game, but really kind of stalled out offensively after that.
Yeah, the first quarter was owned by the Eagles as they led, and then the Cougars that fumble kind of jump-started them, and they owned the second quarter, putting 2 scores on the board. Obviously, one compliments to that huge fumble that they recovered on the 31-yard line. The other one, a nice long sustained drive, and managed to go 14-7 here. The Eagles did defer, so they do get the ball to start the second half and a chance to kind of, change the tide here and try to tie this game up early in the third quarter. Again, this is a big game. If the Eagles can pull it off here, you're talking about at least at minimum a 2-way tie for the MAC Red. Chippewa Valley over at Romeo tonight. The Bulldogs just scored to go up 7-3 on the Big Reds, but this is a big second half. A lot of adjustments here at the long halftime. We'll see how it plays out.
Eisenhower 54 yards of offense on their opening drive of the game, 22 on the following 4 possessions. So it's just 76 yards of offense for Eisenhower. 32 through the air, 44 on the ground as the opening kickoff of the second half. Returned here by Tayshawn Terrell across the 25 up to the 30-yard line.
Yeah, nice return there as the Eagles have had some nice field position off their return, so.
Preston Crum finishing for 3 of 7 in that first half for 32 yards. As for Dakota offensively, 145 yards of total offense. And once again, we talked about how balanced they are offensively. 64 through the air, 81 on the ground. As Ethan Hamby ends up going 8 of 12 for 64 yards.
Yeah, and he had a good first half. And then, of course, when the Cougars needed it the most, it was the Owen Copart show. And he kind of got them that lead and got them going. And, we'll see if the Eagles get back to kind of their game plan that first quarter where they really had the Dakota defense backing up on their heels. Something we hadn't seen much all season, but then the Cougars settled in. They got that fumble, and they really kind of seemed to kind of find their niche defensively. And the Eagles really got to go back to kind of what worked early on in the ball game. So I'm sure they had some adjustments at halftime to talk about.
Christian Johnson picks up 3 on first down. Low snap, Crum gets it out. Long throw to that far sideline, completed out there. Connor Temple making the catch at the 37.
That's kind of a lost art is the all curl. So many high school corners play 6, 7, 8 yards off, and that little 4-yard curl is so valuable, and you don't see a lot of teams run it anymore. If you run the route right where you just kind of sprint at that corner, you get them backing up and you put the brakes on, the ball's there, it plays almost unstoppable until they come up on you.
Flags all over the place. It's 3rd down and 3, and it's going to be a false start on Eisenhower. Self-inflicted wound there.
Well, like I said, the Bulldogs scored to go up on the Big Reds, and a missed extra point has it 6-3, and they're just about to the half over at 29 in Jewel over at Barnabo here. So, yeah, 3rd and 3. playbook wide open. 3rd and 8. A little bit more less options there in the playbook.
And Romeo 4-2, 2-2 in MAC red play. Dakota in the driver's seat. A win here clinches that outright title. Long pass and completed. Luke O'Neill.
Yeah, nice job by O'Neill to get up there and catch that ball. And Crum, again, rolling to his left. That is a tough throw for a right-handed quarterback, and he put it right on the dime. And receiver goes up, makes a nice grab with some defenders right on him, and Ike moves the chains. Nice job. We've seen him go a few times to his left and throw a very nice ball. So the kid's got a strong arm. He's got one more year, obviously, left, being a junior. And, you know, from 1-8 to where they're at now, who knows what's going to happen next year.
A lot of growing pains with this Eisenhower program as Johnson ran over his defender, Tamari Malone. Johnson just a little bowling ball out there.
Yeah, he's running hard out there. He's making some nice plays for the Eagles, and you know, they get credit Eisenhower. He made some adjustments here at halftime. He started out the second half here with some momentum, and trying to work down this field and tie this football game.
4 wide receivers set. Johnson in Crum's right pocket. Crum rolls out to his right. Looks for a slot receiver. He's got him. It's Cody Raymond. Called Raymond's name quite a bit here tonight, not only in the passing game, but has done a really nice job defensively as well. All's in the pass, finally brought down on the Dakota 47.
Yeah, another nice catch here. And, you know, you saw some drops in the first half, which definitely kind of sputtered them at times. Right now, 2 nice receptions, and this Eisenhower offense is on the move, making things happen.
Eisenhower taking their time, bringing in the play call. The sense that they just would love nothing more than to get into a slugfest here and see which defense blinks. Big opportunity on this opening drive of the second half. Crum, little screen. Dakota had it. Diagnosed, recognized, ball comes out. And it's going to be recovered by Eisenhower. Whoa, boy, that could have been a disaster. Tanner Solomon eventually falls on it. And are they going to say forward progression was stopped, huh?
Yeah, they did rule him down, but again, they fooled nobody on that play.
Loss on the play for the Eagles.
5-yard loss on the screen pass. Crum again, flushed out of the pocket. Flips one to Hurley through his hands, incomplete. And that'll bring up 3rd and long. So the defense pinning their ears back, so to speak.
Yeah, I think, you know, Crum had made up his mind to take off and run. At the last second, saw him and kind of decided to kind of flick that pretty quick. I don't think the receiver was ready for it, just on the way that ball caromed off his hands. And, you know, now you're looking at 3rd and long here, and, you know, this is kind of the danger zone when you're in these kind of situations for the Dakota defense. You got a lot of ball hawkers in that secondary, and they're going to bring some kind of pressure at you. And you can see they're coming up. They're getting ready.
4 down linemen, add in a couple linebackers. 6-man rush coming for Dakota. They're going to get home. Crum is going to go down, and a penalty flag came out. I don't know if Crum perhaps got brought down via a face mask. This is a big penalty call coming up.
Now, we learned that in high school football, 15 yards, it's not an automatic first down. You don't get it, so we'll see what happens here. It looked like he was kind of slammed to the ground. I don't know if they're going to call it grounding or if it's a personal foul on the defense. He's taking his time, that's for sure. For sure.
Well, a roughing the passer or roughing the kicker is an automatic first down.
He's conferring with the referee. Face mask.
It's going to be a face mask against Dakota, but it looks like it's just going to be a 5-yard face mask.
That's going to be a 5-yard spot from the foul.
And the sack happened back at the 35. So they'll move it up to the 40. So Dakota.
3rd down. And the down marker is still at the 47. There we go. Well, a big sack of at least 15 yards, but 5 at least puts it forward a little bit. But and they got him again.
Home again. Crum goes down.
Anthony Coleman on the sack. And yeah, when you're in that kind of a distance where you got to really wait for the play to develop, that's where those defensive ends just get after you. And Anthony Coleman made him pay, and the Eagles have to punt.
6.5 sacks now on the season. Harper got one in the first half to take him into the lead. Coleman catches right back up. Both of those guys now 6.5 sacks on the season. Dakota came into play tonight with 23 sacks on the season, nearly 4 sacks per game as that punt is finally down by Luke O'Neill. So that offensive drive looked pretty good at the start for Eisenhower as they got it into Dakota territory, but then you had a 5-yard screen pass and went backwards for 5 yards, an incomplete pass, and then back-to-back sacks. They net 5 yards on that drive. Take off over 5 minutes of play clock and eventually punt the football away. Dakota will take over on the 32, 6:35 remaining third quarter of play.
Yeah, opening half here for the Cougars, opening drive here of the half. And we'll see what adjustments the Cougars made at halftime and see if they can try to get this game to a 2-score game.
Kosavic with the stiff arm, going to pick up a couple. Was bottled up in the backfield. Did a good job just to get some positive yardage out of that run.
Yeah, he had something going there and just squeaked through and got a couple, which looked like it could have been a loss of at least a couple. So nice job of getting something out of nothing from Joe Kosavic.
Mentioned Dakota. It's been 7 years since her last outright MAC Red title. Had the co-share in 2020. Last time they went perfect 5-0 in MAC Red play was 2013, so 9 years ago. Quest Williams hauls it in, was holding that football out there with just one hand. That was a dangerous looking play. Gets it up to the 39, picks up 5.
Yeah, a little crossing route. If he turned it up, he might have got a few extra yards, but he tried to take it wide to get some more and ended up actually going back a yard there. So third and about 3 here for the Cougars.
State champs. A lot of folks know that television show, mainstay here in the state of Michigan. They previewed this football game and they talked about Dakota being back. Devin Gardner, the former Michigan quarterback, said Dakota's back, and I would kind of argue Dakota really never went away. They haven't made a lot of noise in the postseason, but they've always been competitive in MAC Red play. It's just MAC Red's so loaded.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that comment kind of questioned me too, because they never really go away either. Just 18 Chippewa Valley, Stevenson had a good year, and just everyone just kind of hurdles each other as everyone just kind of vies for that supremacy in the MAC Red.
Romeo making state title games, Stevenson making state semifinal appearances, Chippewa Valley winning state titles. I mean, when you're constantly playing the competition that Dakota does play in the MAC Red, it's difficult to make long postseason runs because those teams are more than likely going to be in your district. Hamby pump fakes. Going to escape the pocket now, looks for an open receiver downfield, keeps the play alive. No surprise, Owen Colpert makes a couple men miss and is finally driven out of bounds.
Well, Randy Moss Jr. On the play again. Just the ability he has to make a play out of nothing. And, I mean, he came back for that, jumped over the receiver or defender, pulled it away from him, and then took off down the sidelines for several yards. I mean, that's just when you think you have Dakota pinned, I mean, he makes a play like that. Ethan Hamby, a nice job with his feet also.
36 yards. And now they plunge ahead to the 19-yard line.
And those are the plays that just kind of energize an offense when you get when you make a play like that where it seemed like he had nothing and Hamby just used his feet. He got some space. He was able to set his feet. And he's looking for that big target, and he hit him. And, it's nice to have that Whoopie there, Randy Moss Jr.
Wes Williams sent in motion. Kasevic going to take the handoff. Jukes in the backfield. He's going to get driven forward, actually, by a couple defenders. Luke Myers, the initial Eagle, in on the stop. That'll be good enough for another Cougar first down. Ball spotted at the 13-yard line. Pick up a 6 there for Kasevic.
Ike's gonna have to make something happen here because Dakota's dangerously close to putting us up 2 scores. And when you get up 2 scores with that defense, it's gonna make it very, very tough. This is an area here where Ike does not want to get into.
So we talked about the district pairings. I took a look at the Playoff Wizard website, and right now, the way he has things looking, if everything kind of shakes out the way it's supposed to, you could see first-round matchups in a district with Chippewa Valley and Anchor Bay in the first round, Dakota Romeo in a first round, with the district championship featuring an all-MAC red.
Yeah, and you wonder why, some of the MAC red, you don't see multiple teams go deep because they all have to play each other in the first, the districts, and they don't get spread out, and that's kind of the tough, especially with these 2 schools, being a couple miles away. If you put them in different areas, I bet you could see them in semifinal matchups here and there because they're just that good to kind of roll through the competition. So it's tough because you just play them early all the time.
MHSAA basing everything on geography. Kasevic once again. Moseri, the tackler for Eisenhower. On the flip side of things, Eisenhower more than likely will go on the road. Once again, Playoff Wizard has them in a district along with Rochester, Adams, and Troy. And Southfield would be the other team making up that district. Kind of interesting to look ahead.
Adams very explosive offensively.
Boy, oh boy, could you imagine if we had Chippewa Valley versus Dakota district final?
Usually happens every year.
Kasevic in late. He's lined up at the wide receiver position. It's going to be Watson instead. He didn't get it. Nope. Gets brought back. Cody Raymond, no surprise. And now they rip out the football. Eisenhower thinks they're going the other way with it. And they're thinking they're going to take this all the way for the touchdown, but they're going to bring it back.
Well, 54 just ran 60 yards. He's pretty tired. I'd run right at him.
And Calvin Watson, your short distance back, took the handoff there. Owen Colpert's got his hands out.
And it might be quest time here and play a little knuckle up football and see how tough this Eisenhower front really is. But yeah, you're talking about the last several years. They've met either in the first or second round, and it's just the way it is, the way it's set up by region and location. They're going to play each other all the time.
Hamby with the QB keeper, calls his own number, gets into the end zone for the Dakota touchdown.
Yeah, second touchdown of the day for Ethan Hamby, and the Cougars now extend their lead to 20-7 with the extra point. 2-score game now. Really is going to put some pressure on the Eagles as they're going to have to kind of force to kind of play this game now a little quicker. We're only got a minute 3 left in the third quarter here, so obviously the third quarter played much faster than the halftime show. Eisenhower now only 13 minutes of clock time left to try to tie this game up, and going to put yourself in a little bit of a hole.
Dominic Celestini's point after touchdown is good with 1:03 remaining in the third quarter. Cougars lead at 21-7. That drive took 5 minutes and 32 seconds and was capped off with the 1-yard TD plunge by Ethan Hamby. Well, Cougars got off to that slow start offensively. Their first 2 possessions of this football game resulted in punts, and then they turned it into high gear. 3 of their last 4 offensive possessions have resulted in touchdowns.
It's amazing, too. You just look at how this game turned on that fumble recovery.
Yep.
It was 7-0. Eisenhower got the ball back on the first play from scrimmage. They fumble. The Cougars recover. They punch it. And the next thing, it's 21 straight points now. And it's just been, since that point, it's been all Dakota, Brad.
Yep. Defense leading to offense, gave them the short field. Just needed to go 31 yards. They did just that. And as you mentioned, 21 straight points now for Dakota. And as they look to wrap up the MAC Red League title. 10 MAC championships for Dakota, 9 MAC Red championships, 1 MAC White championship. They went 6-0 in the MAC White all the way back in 1999.
I was on the coaching staff during that time. That was a fun year. That was kind of the rise of Dakota from that point. And that was a fun year. And as a matter of fact, that year knocked off Chippewa Valley, who was really slated to kind of take a run to the state finals that year, knocked them off the district championship in overtime, and maybe one of the craziest games I've ever seen. And that also was the year the first meeting of the Chippewa Valley-Dakota rivalry started in 1999.
Really?
I don't know if those alumni are here. Todd Wojciechowski, Paul Sasson, Sam Anderson. That was a good group. That was a good group of kids. And boy, you know, they were the kind of ones that got it going. Lost to Eisenhower that year in the regionals, 57-56 in double overtime. They pulled the extra point and threw a touchdown pass, the flag to the corner of the end zone, and beat us by a point, and it was just devastating.
Heartbreak City there.
It was tough. It was the wildest game, kind of like the Lions game on Sunday.
Preston Crum looking deep, got a man, connects with them. No, he dropped it.
Oh my God. Oh, look at the eyes. I mean, that just takes the wind out of your sails. He was wide open. Nobody accounted for number 12.
I got 2 12s on my roster. I got Jack Bullock and Hayden Bills.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. If I'm not mistaken, Jack Bullock is on the JV, so I'm sure it's Hayden Bills. He played the game last night against the JV, which we'll talk about in a minute, and got hurt, but he happens to be the son of my 7th grade head coach, so I do know that. I know a little bit about this team.
So Hayden Bills with the drop, and that would have been a huge play. Crum incomplete, was looking for Connor Temple. Well, you just talk about swings of momentum.
That just totally, I mean, imagine what that could have do. You know, I don't think he would have scored because there were 3 defenders there, but you're talking about a 40, 50-yard play.
Yep, flip
and
the field.
Now you're sitting at 3rd and 10 instead of being right there, the chance to get back to a 7-point game. And now at 3rd and 10, you know, here come the Cougars. They're going to tee off on you. They've done it all game.
We're up here in the press box directly next to the Eisenhower offensive staff. And when they dialed up that play and knew they had the play action in place, they knew they had a man wide open, this booth kind of rocked a little bit. And then for that pass to fall incomplete, it was Heartbreak City up here.
Oh, for sure. And what a catch there on 3rd down. Ike's going to move the sticks here. What a great grab.
Temple brings that in for 11. So moves the chains. More importantly, gives the Eagles a new set of downs. They quickly get to the line of scrimmage. Crum turns, hands off. Johnson, all kinds of speed across the 40 up to the 41. Pickup of 6 there on 1st down.
Yeah, you know, when you need to, just hand it off to the bowling ball, and he plows forward, and Ike's got something going now.
Another handoff, going to be right at the 45. That was the line to gain. They're going to give it to him. And it'll stop the clock momentarily. We'll see if the Eagles have enough time. Nope, they're not even going to bother running another play, I don't think. Preston Crum went to the sideline. Nope, they're going to let the remaining seconds tick off the clock. So that will do it for 3/4 of play. Dakota, the only touchdown of the quarter, take the 21-7 lead into the quarter break. When we come back here on Chippewa Valley Cable Television, the 4th quarter of play. Don't go anywhere.
Let's clear the smoke about marijuana. Marijuana and teens. What research tells us.
Did you know that marijuana can negatively affect a teen's ability to learn?
A teen who uses is 4 times more likely to report D grades.
A teen that uses marijuana is 2 times more likely to drop out of school.
Marijuana is not safe.
Marijuana is not safe for our kids. Mobilizing Michigan, protecting our kids from marijuana.
4th quarter of play. Cougars 21, Eagles 7. Eisenhower with the football, 45-yard line. Start of the 4th quarter of play. Preston Crum rolls out to his right, changes directions. Gonna get driven down hard Kuchowski chops him down. Pickup of 1 on first down.
Yeah, nice job of staying home on that backside and reading that he was going to take off running and make a nice play there to limit just to a 1-yard gain. You know, for the most part, things have gone Dakota's way on 3rd and long, so you want to kind of get them into a 3rd and long.
30th all-time meeting between these two schools. Dakota with the slight advantage, 16 wins to 13 losses. Crum sets up the screen, incomplete. Dakota's won 2 straight in this series. Eisenhower had won the previous 5.
And it won't matter if Dakota wins, but across the way at Romeo, they are at the half. Romeo 6, Chippewa Valley 3. And again, we said at the start of the broadcast, Dakota wins this game. They are the MAC Red champs outright. And of course, a lot of crazy things could happen if Eisenhower wins, but a lot has to happen in the next 11-19, Brad.
3rd down and 10. Crum out to his left, going to change directions, feels all kinds of pressure, good blocking, floats a pass, incomplete. Luke O'Neill couldn't bring it in as he went to the ground. Good improv there by Preston Crum.
I would run the other way if Tyler Harper was chasing me too, so he put the brakes on because he saw number 8. Made a heck of a throw across his body. Again, another great throw against the grain by Preston Crum. Receiver just was not able to pull that one in. Eagles have to punt. And they're going to get to a point in the game very soon here where punting's not an option. This is a big drive here for the Cougars. You can put them to bed if you can cash one in the end zone on here, or even get 3 out of it.
4th and 9. Low snap. They get the punt away. It's going to be fielded at the 26-yard line. Look out, Lorenzo Alfred into Eagle territory. Finally chopped down by the punter, Cody Raymond. There is a flag on the far side of the field, however.
Yeah, it's not a normal spot either, and the play wasn't even over there. So we'll see where it's at, because if it stands, the Cougars are going to have great field position on a fantastic return by Lorenzo Alfred. He's over consulting with Coach Bauer over here to see what they want to do. So I don't think Coach Bauer is aware. He's kind of in the middle of the huddle right now.
Holding against the Eagles, so this one will be declined.
Yep.
And Dakota will start out on plus territory, the Eagle 39-yard line, and really could put this football game away. 11 minutes now remaining in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, this is kind of, this is kind of ground and pound territory with Kasevic, but also this is Owen Copart time too. So watch out here for Randy Moss Jr.
Kasevic, right side. Look out, Kasevic! Inside the 20 to the 15, the 10, inside the 5, finally knocked out of bounds.
Joe tried to play Superman there. He took off from the 5-yard line to hit the pylon. He didn't quite make it. He got pushed out of bounds at about the 2 from 3 Eagles, and I think they're going to spot at the 3. But boy, a big run. That's almost kind of what you saw last week, 2 weeks ago with the Big Reds, where he busted one late to kind of put the Big Reds to bed on that long run that set up the score to make it 28-17. And here you go. Cougars knocking on the door here with 10:51 to go to put this up 3 scores.
And Hamby's going to take it himself once again. His third ball comes out, and Colpert falls on. It's going to be a touchdown no matter what.
Yeah, the near side official said he broke the plane, so I think that's going to be a credit to Ethan Hamby on the score. But either way, it's a Cougar touchdown. And now, with 10:47 to go, you got a 3-score game here. And this pretty much, is going to put the Eagles in a tight spot. They're going to become basically a one-dimensional offense, having to sling the ball to get they want to catch back up.
Hamby's 3rd touchdown run of the game, 13 seconds, 2 plays. Really the big one, the 37-yard gain by Kasevic. And it's Ethan Hamby that pays it off. As we wait the extra point, Celestini kicks it through, high arcing extra point. And it is now the Dakota Cougars 28, the Eisenhower Eagles 7.
Yeah, and in those big turning points of the game, the Cougars have cashed in. Early in the game, the fumble, they start rattling things off, and then again, 21-7, the punt, big return down to the 39-yard line. Kasevic takes it down to the 3, and the Cougars cash it in. And just like that, 28 unanswered points by the Cougars. Kind of has this game, I'm not going to say completely out of reach because there's a lot of time to go, but things are starting to look a little bleak for this Eisenhower football team.
And this is not really a quick strike Eisenhower offense. So with them being down 21 points with just 10:47 remaining in regulation, it is going to be a severe uphill climb the rest of the way. Looking ahead at the Dakota schedule.
Yeah, there's not much to look at there.
They'll go on the road next week, take on Ford before wrapping up the season at home against Mumford. More than likely.
Is that a band?
Yeah, Mumford and Sons.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're not taking on Marcus Mumford. They're taking on Detroit Mumford.
Oh, I would say they're going to be favored in that game, Brad. Slightly.
I would think so. So more than likely, if they take care of business here, you're looking at a perfect regular season for Dakota. But still have to play the games.
That is exactly true.
Kick is away. Gonna be short of the goal line.
Oh,
and went out of bounds just before the goal line. So this will be a kickoff infraction, legal procedure.
Those usually add a few gray hairs to the coaches on those ones, but you know, trying directional kick and keep it away, kicked it out of bounds. You know, you are 3 scores up, so I think if you're the defense right now, you know, obviously, you know, the front 4 can really tee off, but just you don't give up the big play. You make Eisenhower chew up time, you know, and walk out of here with not only a homecoming victory, but a victory that can seal the MAC Red and give you the outright championship.
As for Eisenhower, they will play what is technically a road game next week against Utica before wrapping up their season on the road, a true road game against a very good West Bloomfield team, by the way.
Oh,
Christian Johnson driven down hard.
Right. Ask Sterling Heights Stevenson how good West Bloomfield is.
Tyler Harper in on the stop. And West Bloomfield's been very good for a very long time.
Yeah, the Utica game will be interesting.
Christian Johnson went down. He was the tailback on that last play. He went down before he could get to the sidelines.
You know, you mentioned Eisenhower being the away team. That's because they both share Swinehart Field. And Utica obviously deemed the home team this year. So Ike will be in their road colors at Swinehart, which does not happen very often, but it does happen. You know, there was a time when Chippewa Valley and Dakota shared the field, and that happened as well. That was back when it was grass, you know, and played at one location. So 1999, that was one of the years that I believe it was 06, 05 or 06 is when the might even been a year sooner than that. It was when both schools kind of had their own field at that point in time. But for the first 5 years or so of the existence of Dakota High School, there was one football site for both high schools.
Christian Johnson makes his way over to the sideline.
10:26 to go, Brad. I know they just ran a draw play, but you're not going to need. You really don't need those. You're going to have to really get the ball down the field.
Crum looking for Bryce Hurley, incomplete. Crum really hasn't gotten any sort of help from his receivers today.
No, he's thrown some nice passes, and unfortunately, they have dropped him. But you know, Damari Malone has been on the coverage today. He's been all over Eisenhower receivers, really batting down several footballs. So the coverage has been fantastic, and that's the one thing with Preston Crum is he can't hang on to the ball very well along because that Dakota defensive line is breathing down his throat.
This Eisenhower team will make it back to the playoffs. Prior to last season, it was 7 straight playoff appearances.
It's funny you mentioned Dakota being in state champs, or the number 3. State champs has them at 6, and there's 4 teams ahead of them with 1 loss, and they're undefeated. West Bloomfield, Rochester, Adams, De La Salle, and Martin Luther King.
No, and those are some Division 2 and 3
yeah,
teams.
Yeah, it says these are top 20 in the state, like all divisions. I think that's a little disrespectful to the Cougars to put some of those 1-loss teams ahead of them. So, but again, that stuff kind of means nothing. That's the fun that the media has. You know, the respect in the games are won and lost on the football field here. And then with Ike punting, This is pretty much going to kind of seal the fate here of the Eagles. I think you're going to start to see Dakota go into the ground and pound mode.
And I know you and I have talked about it in prior broadcasts. They just kind of got to feel like MHSA has to do a little bit more in terms of, and they might have hit a Dakota player. And I think it did. I think it bounced off the back of a Dakota player and finally fielded at the 50-yard line. MHSAA's got to do a little bit more of separating some of these teams in terms of where they see them in the playoffs. It doesn't seem right to me that we could have 4 MAC Red teams all in the same district, and you could have Chippewa Valley and Dakota, 2 of the top 10 teams in the state of Michigan, meet in the second round of the playoffs.
Well, and I know, you know, for years it has been regions and location and things like that, but then what does the regular season mean if you go through and you win all these games? You know, Dakota could theoretically be 9-0 and Chippewa Valley could be 8-1. They're going to meet in districts, and it's just like, you know, what do you get for working that hard and doing so well in a division that's actually just stacked? And that's tough.
I mean, realistically, I can't think of any Division I schools that would be more than 2 hours away. In this day and age, is it asking too much to make a team travel 2 hours to play a football game?
Well, and everyone kind of does it now. You see with the way that when they change the playoff picture, now you see teams like, you know, Muskegon made a trip to De La Salle. Muskegon's played Dakota. You know, just you start to see these great matchups.
Right.
So
those are regular season games.
And teams have no trouble traveling for the. I mean, but I think to not reward a team for a tremendous performance during the regular season just because they're close to another team that's really good, just kind of takes away from, you know, you don't get to see some of those great matchups further down the road in the playoffs when it really starts to matter and the fields get narrowed.
Could you imagine if we had Dakota and Chippewa Valley on opposite sides of the bracket, and those two teams potentially met up in a state semifinal game with a berth to Ford Field on the line?
God, that would be amazing. You know, we've seen, you know, district championship games between these two where the place is packed, and that's great. But the district championship game, even though those are fun around here, in terms of the overall state, I mean, you know, you need to kind of separate these teams that are just, you know, continuous state powerhouses, because one always goes home, and it just doesn't make sense, because you see some of these teams that move on, and these are teams that one of the two schools have pounded during the regular season.
Sure.
And they get the beneficiary of a location draw.
So Dakota going into ultimate stall mode here.
Yeah, they are in take your time mode for sure.
Eisenhower shows blitz. Hamby hands off to Kasevic. Bounces off a couple tacklers, knocks over one right at the 30. Boy, he just kind of emerged out of that scrum. Credit the officials for not blowing that play dead. And he picked up another 8 yards.
Yeah, you were waiting for the whistle to be dead as the play was going to be down there at about 3-4 yards in. And next thing you know, he's scooting down the field and moving the chains. And, you know, Cougars now in business at the 28, really trying to stretch this game out.
Picks up 12 yards. Get to the line now. Wait for that back judge to count them down. No sense in hurrying, no sense in snapping the football before they absolutely have to. Kasevic straight up the middle. And, well, he's going to keep those legs moving. Boy, he's still not down.
You know, that's the one thing, too, about, you know, the spread nowadays, and a lot of teams no huddle, is you can get your play call in really quick and get everybody set.
Yep.
And now you can just sit and wait, and it really allows you to grind the clock down in these situations. You know, back in the older days, and I hate to sound like an old guy, but I am. But
back in the day.
Right, you huddled, and it took time to get the play in. You'd run the play in. You know, no one ever signaled the play. A receiver ran the play in. Half the time they forgot what the coach told them anyway.
Like a game of telephone.
Yeah. hey, he called 23 Viking, and the quarterback will go, what the heck is 23? We don't even have that play. Like, oh, shoot. And they had to run back to the sideline and get the play again and come back in, and now you're going to delay a game.
Kasevic again.
Yeah, the good old days.
Well, speaking of the good old days, this Eisenhower team, perennial power in the state of Michigan. When you talk high school football in the state of Michigan, especially in this area, you got to talk about the Eisenhower Eagles. 14 straight playoff appearances between 1999 and 2012. And this Dakota team's been a thorn in the Eagles' side. One of the rare teams that has a winning record over Eisenhower. In fact, they're only one of 2 teams that Eisenhower has played more than 5 times that Eisenhower has a losing record against. Isn't that unbelievable?
Yeah, I mean, the tradition of Eisenhower High School and football speaks for itself. I mean, you know, just for so long, such a powerhouse. And, you know, we talked about when they played Chippewa, the dominance against Chippewa, though lately, obviously, it's been Chippewa Valley, and same thing here with Dakota. You know, back in the early days of Dakota football, Coach Giannone here, they had so much success against Eisenhower, and people were just dumbfounded on how they could do it because the success Eisenhower had against everybody in the MAC. I mean, that was a showcase win if you could get a win against Eisenhower. Period, end of story. So.
The other school that has a winning record against Eisenhower, once again, more than 5 games. That's where my cutoff was. You had to play them more than 5 times. And that's Catholic Central, Detroit Catholic Central, 4-1 all time against Eisenhower. I mentioned Dakota's 16-13, more than likely going to improve to 17-13 with the victory here
and
tonight.
A few of those wins of Catholic Central came at the expense of a state finals when Ike made it 4 years in a row. And you know, that's kind of a sensitive subject with the Eisenhower folks. Others who joke about it, I've heard them referred to as the Buffalo Bills of Macomb County. That's a tough one, but I mean, listen, here's the one thing that gets lost in that. They made it to 4 straight state championships.
Yep,
When you
that's
talk
hard
about
to do.
senior classes going through, I mean, you know how hard it is to make it to back-to-back state championships, let alone 4 in a row? And you look at the talent that went through there at that point in time. I mean, you're talking about maybe one of the best defenses of all time during that time period with John DiGiorgio, Joe DiGiorgio. I mean, they were absolutely fantastic defensively.
Both of those guys have their numbers retired by Eisenhower. Lance Long, another retired Eagle number. He had an NFL career, Lance Long did. He's a local guy as well, runs a camp and some speed and agility training.
Very just due, too. I mean, those guys have, you know, legends through the school of Eisenhower. And, you know, we talk also about, you know, back in the day. Well, you know, everyone nowadays pretty much has turf, right? You know, back in the day, you know, the only ones who played on turf were a handful of NFL stadiums and a couple colleges, and it wasn't even turf. It was called AstroTurf. It was basically a quarter-inch piece of carpet on concrete, and it was not fun to play on.
Another Kasevic handoff. Close to the first down marker. You're going to be just short, so it'll bring up a 4th and 1.
Most people didn't know what it felt like unless you went and rented the Silverdome for a game and went and played a game there. And it was it's not an enjoyable experience being tackled on basically concrete. The carpet was there just to cover up the concrete so no one really saw it.
You got some rug burns, I'm sure.
Exactly.
You bounced off the concrete.
Yeah. People wore elbow pads when everyone wore elbow pads just protect yourself as best you could because the surface was so hard that you landed on.
4th and 1, 2:35 now left to go in regulation.
You know, this stuff nowadays, it's like, you know, when you grab the pillows with the goose feathers in it, nice and soft, and you just sink right into it.
Now they're going to split Kasevic off, and Coach Bauer asks for and is granted a timeout.
Yeah, took the clock down as far as he can, 4th and 1. You're definitely going to see the Cougars go for this here. You turn the ball over on downs, Eisenhower's going to go 90-plus yards. So with only 2:25 to go, I mean, this is just pretty much all over but the shouting. So let's, you know, we'll take some time right now and congratulate them. Cougars, MAC Red champions.
How
so
about
they
that?
add another piece of hardware. Early in the season, the Superintendent's Trophy with the win over the Chippewa Valley Big Reds. And now they get the MAC Red Championship trophy added to the hardware as they improve to 7-0 on the season.
10th MAC Red Championship all-time in school history. First outright MAC Red title since 2015. So congratulations to the Cougars. Outstanding season.
Yeah, it's always nice too. It makes homecoming a little sweeter with a big win. Obviously a little sweeter when you add the MAC Red Championship to it. So there'll be a lot to dance to tomorrow night at the Shindig, and everyone's all excited about that. Homecoming king and queen crowned.
At halftime.
Great halftime performances from the dance team and the cheerleaders. You know, watching those back handspring elbows, you know, take me back to the day when we could do that. You know, just brings back a lot of good memories.
Yeah, you got to enjoy halftime. I was tallying up stats during halftime, doing a lot of mental math here. The fire was burning, the steam was coming out of my ears as I tried to calculate all those stats for you. And we got a penalty flag on the play. I think this one's more than likely going to come back as it was Kelvin Watson that sprinted into the end zone.
Yeah, well, that's why they pay you more than me, Brad.
This is true.
I get to sit here and play around, and you get to do all the work.
You see all this scribbling that's taking place in front of me? No statistician up in the booth here, folks.
I'm getting anxiety just looking at that sheet, I'm going to be honest with you. So
it moves them back, and now Dakota will attempt a field goal.
Yeah, fourth and 6 as opposed to 4th and 1's a little tougher here, so give your kicker a chance to put 3 up on the board.
It's going to be a 28-yard field goal, we'll call it. 28-yard field goal for Celestini.
He's got a good leg, and this is well within his range.
From the left hash, the kick is up. The kick is perfect. 2:21 left to go in regulation. Cougars 31, Eisenhower Eagles 7.
We'll give some credit here to the holder, Jeremy Bauer. He does a nice job. You know, holder doesn't get a lot of credit because everyone just, you score and you expect the extra point to go up. But it is one of the toughest jobs on the football field. Catch the ball, get it on the tee as that kicker is going to come in to kick it. You got everyone coming and you can't move. You got to sit there and just hold that ball still. Laces out, of course.
Yep, spin them.
You know, as Ray Finkel commonly knows, laces out, Dan Marino. You know, so nice job, Jeremy Bauer. You know, you see all these extra points these kids kick, but what really gets lost in that whole thing is the jobs these snappers and these holders do on just how consistent they are throughout the season.
3 factors go into a kick: the snap, the hold, and the kick. All 3 perfect there. Good special teams at both of our Chippewa Valley schools. I'm at basic, man. Oh man, how good is he over at Chippewa Valley?
Well, and, you know, Coach Priest and Coach Carley do a great job with special teams. Both coaches have been around a long time, and you know they get the right kids in the right spots. That's half the battle too, is just getting the right players in those right spots. And you tend to use a lot of your non-starters on offense and defense in those areas. So, you know, the depth of the programs, it really speaks to the depth of the program when you can have those kind of kids and you come in there and you play so well with those guys. And, you know, obviously, you know, both schools have been able to get, you know, quality soccer kickers to really boot those footballs. And I'm at basic, yeah, I mean, you know, he's kind of on everyone's radar in the state, so.
I'm at basic hit a goal in soccer the other night on a free kick. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter.
An absolute laser.
I mean, that's something you see in the World Cup. He was like at the 30-yard line of the football field, and he bent it into the upper left corner. Like, that's like a video game. That's like FIFA 23.
Picking your spot, right?
That's crazy.
Tayshawn Terrell finally brought out of bounds at the 29-yard line.
Well, even coming in today, you know, I was talking with a lot of the parents and former players of mine and things like that, and they're still talking about the field goal we kicked here 2 weeks ago from 42 yards out that hit the track.
Yep.
I mean, that was just unbelievable. And there are just some kids, when you see those kids with those kind of legs, the ball just sounds different off their foot.
Kamari Charles now in at tailback. Christian Johnson went down with an injury.
Yeah, if you're Dakota right now, Coach Bowers just told everyone, hey, everyone in front of you, nobody behind you, tackle them in bounds, let's get out of here. You know.
Well, we talked about Dakota's held teams to 8 points per game this season. And you talk about the level of competition they play week in and week out in the MAC Red, and the fact that they took on Brother Rice in week 1, and to just give up 8 points per game. They've given up 7 points here tonight. And you and I kind of looked at each other when Eisenhower went down the field on that very opening drive of this game, went 54 yards in a matter of minutes, and they took that 7-0 lead. And I think it was a little bit of an eyebrow raiser because they made it look easy.
Without doubt.
But credit this defense. They have answered the bell throughout the rest of this football game, and they came away with the turnover, and the rest of the offensive possessions for Eisenhower have been punts.
And then on that last breakup, Damari Malone with another breakup. He's had several of those today. He's had himself one heck of a game.
Really nice catch, changing direction. Hayden Bills, look out. Bill's finally going to get brought down at the 20-yard line.
Yeah, he put the brakes on. He just scooted all the way across the field. There was nobody there, and he motored all the way down to the Dakota 20-yard line. Nice play there by the Eagles, and you know, you just kind of wonder like where this game would be if one of those plays like that were a little
those
earlier.
Big hitters.
You know, they hit one that was dropped, another one that he was wide open, dropped again, and just like that, now the Eagles knocking on the door.
And Romeo just scoring a touchdown as well. And Preston Crum will just throw this one out of bounds. Live to see another day.
Yeah, the Bulldogs now up 12-3 on the Big Reds. It's just to start the third quarter here, and they're going to go for 2 because they missed the extra point and try to make this a 14-3 game. But the Bulldog defense really right now is shutting down the Chippewa Valley offense. Only gave up 2 touchdowns last week to Dakota. So
they're hitting their stride.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and this is kind of the time, you know. You look in the last 10 years, the teams who've made late season runs, I don't know if anyone's done it more than the Romeo Bulldogs.
Romeo loves the month of October, don't they? Pressure again from Dakota. Not going to get home. Preston Crum's going to go down. Pressure applied, no surprise, by Tyler Harper.
Yeah, he seems to be everywhere. He just, you know, he's the kind of player that, you know, he covers so much ground and he's everywhere that, you know, when these guys go to sleep at night, he kind of haunts you in your dreams.
So if Romeo is able to come up with a victory here tonight,
they got the conversion.
We would have a 3-way tie for second place with Chippewa Valley, Eisenhower, and Romeo all finishing the season at 3-2.
And then Stevenson Anchor Bay tonight battling to see who gets out of the basement.
They sure got the conversion all right. So 14-3 now. Your score in that one. There's a touchdown grab. Back of the end zone. Connor Temple hauls it in with 1:08 left in regulation. Eisenhower going the length of the field. Credit them.
Yeah, nice post pattern there. Preston, I keep calling him Dustin Crum. Preston Crum, beautiful pass and nice reception. The Eagles get, you know, just kind of something to hold your head up high as you kind of get in the next 2 weeks. Next 2 weeks are, like you just mentioned, are not, you know, easy sledding for the Eagles. Obviously, they're a little bit more talented than the Utica Chieftains, but it's still, you know, it's a big rivalry game in the district. And then, of course, you got West Bloomfield, who is just a machine.
Yeah, world beaters out of the OAA.
Well, referee threw his hat. So I don't know. That's usually not a good sign. Someone's been ejected from the game.
Coach Bauer having a discussion with Jake Kolakowski.
Someone's getting a talking to down there, and it's bad enough when you throw the flag. When you throw the white hat, it's no more fun in games. It's about to go down.
Well, next week we will have the Warren-Mott at Chippewa Valley game. That's going to be a MAC Red Blue crossover, as Warren-Mott has made the move all the way down to the MAC Blue.
And Dakota goes to Ford.
Yep.
Obviously 2 favorable matchups for our in-district teams. And then
Ford hasn't won a football game. They're playing out of the MAC White. And
and then of course you got a team who hasn't lost a football game coming in, so that's usually
that's potential for a disaster. Ford has only scored 40 points in 6 games this season, so yeah, take that for what it's worth. They're coming off a 30-7 loss last week to Grosse Pointe South. Grosse Pointe South once again undefeated in MAC White play. Grosse Pointe South just runs through the MAC White, comes up to the red, and can't win a game. And we've talked about this in the past, but we just can't find that perfect fit for the 6th team in the MAC Red. As Eisenhower will go for the onside kick, and Dakota recovers. Strike up the band, play the fight song. Cougars are your MAC Red champions.
And then week 9, you got, you know, Detroit Mumford travels to Dakota, and Chippewa Valley hosts Oxford on the home and home deal with the Oxford Wildcats, which will be at that one as well. So I was actually at that game last year. and Oxford won the game on going for 2 late in the game. They scored late, went for the win, and got it. And it was actually the Tate Mirror who actually caught the 2-point conversion in that game.
Wow.
So I'm sure something will be special at Chippewa Valley for that game as well when they bring in Oxford.
Dakota and everyone's favorite formation, the victory formation. Jack Napierkowski going to take the knee. Eisenhower will not use their timeouts. They will allow Dakota to take one final knee, and that will do it. Hard-fought game here tonight by the Eisenhower Eagles. They're going to fall short, 31-14, our final score. Once again, congratulations to the Dakota Cougars. They improved to 7-0 on the season. More importantly, 5-0 in MAC Red play as they captured their 11th MAC championship, 10th MAC Red championship, and their first outright MAC Red league title since 2015. 7 years in the making. The Dakota Cougars, your MAC Red champions.
Yeah, congratulations to the Cougars. Again, to survive the Red Division undefeated without a loss really says a lot. Tough sledding through this division. You know, the Eisenhower Eagles came out, played a tremendous first quarter, just couldn't keep it up. But, you know, this year so far has been the year of the Cougars. They've just, this defense has really carried this team and has really put this offense in good positions. And now they have them in position to possibly finish at a perfect 9-0 as they go into playoff play with 2 weeks to go.
What a ride it has been. The Dakota Cougars taking care of business tonight here on Homecoming. Once again, your final score, Dakota Cougars 31, the Eisenhower Eagles 14. For Jeff Vitale and the rest of our hardworking Chippewa Valley Cable Television crew, I'm Brad Fetter saying goodnight. One final time from Dakota High School. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.